I call to order the regular session of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs on Tuesday, September 27, 2022 at 9 a.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vaticiotis?
Here.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Here.
Commissioner Carr is absent. Commissioner Eisner?
Here.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Here.
Okay, before we get started, we've got a couple of absences that we would have normally tended to. I think that there's some questions concerning on one of them, so I'd like to defer the three of the items on that till the next regularly scheduled meeting, and I request the commission, any commissioners, if you've got any questions on any of them, to get with the city manager beforehand so he can explain the circumstances. We're going to go and start with the invocation. There's actually two this morning, one by Commissioner Eisner. He's requested to give one, and I welcome that, and then I'll give a second one. And then after the invocations, we'll continue standing and turn and pledge the allegiance to the flag. So, Commissioner Eisner, if you'd like to start with your invocation.
Please stand. I'm going to get a little teary-eyed. Right now, it's my Rosh Hashanah holiday. I've never worked a day in Rosh Hashanah, and I'm working today to make sure that we are safe and everybody's safe. So, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, aseh me'ashis barashit. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, maker of the works of creation, God of heaven and earth, source of all. As Hurricane Ian approaches, I tribute to the force of creation, your power, your might. What chaos will blow with the wind, what destruction will strike, who will suffer, who will stay secure. God of mystery and awe, grant us, the people of Tarpon Springs and elsewhere, safety as this storm Ian engulfs our homes, our lives, protects us, shields us, guards us. Grant peace of mind to those in fear. Grant food and clothing, warmth and shelter to those in need. Bless emergency and rescue workers and our police with the tools and skills they need as they risk their lives for the sake of our families, communities, and friends. Grant healing to those who are sick or injured. Bless us with common sense throughout the squall, the wind, the rain, and the tides, and with kinship and cooperation when the storm, this hurricane, the violent weather passes. God of awe and wonder, our rock and refuge, see us through this gale and watch us through the night for comfort, security, and well-being, so that we may serve you in love. And a special prayer for Michael Hardwick at this time. Amen.
Amen. In the morning, we are filled with your mercy, O Lord, and we rejoice and delight in all of our days. Let us delight, therefore, even in the days that you make us lowly, and for the years that we have seen evils. And look upon your servants and upon your works. Lead us, their sons aright. And let the light of the Lord our God be upon us, and the works of our hands may you guide our right. Yea, the works of our hands may you guide our right. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's go to public comments. Are there any public comments this morning? Mr. Geddes.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live on Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. I apologize if this speech is repetitive or if people find it offensive, as I do as well. The Declaration of Independence states that we warned the legislation of our British brethren not to extend their unwarranted jurisdiction over us, calling into question who is us in the Declaration. Oddly, I find the only ones tax-free in the unwarranted 14th Amendment water jurisdiction is the Indians. The Declaration of Independence further describes these particular Indians as savages here to commit perfidy and works of death, that these savage Indians are transported here as mercenaries in the Declaration of Independence, here to capture land and water as recognized in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of this Constitution, here to eat us out of our subsistence, as written in the Declaration of Independence. Federalist Paper number 79 states, in order to control man's will, you must first control man's subsistence, simultaneously birthing water jurisdictions, unwarranted water jurisdictions, as a ship of war, as assailed in Article 1, Section 10 of this Constitution, intent on taking liberty, property, and life of the Gentiles claimed as process due in the 14th Amendment, and as based on Federalist Paper 2, is intent on vanquishing the Gentiles via the water supply, using water as its Second Amendment right, as a power of the earth, as declared, as deduced, a vanquishing as recognized in Chapter 3 of Machiavelli's The Prince. Again, such prince is spoken of in the Declaration of Independence. The so-called perfect union of Great Britain and the tribes of Israel, using a counterfeit declaration, have broken all 10 commandments under a falsely faced constitution, as self-evident in a high seas crime of sacrilege and blasphemy, as admitted by George Washington himself, stating he is of greatest rankness and truly one's worst enemy, undermining that which cannot be directly overthrown in his farewell address. Such sacrilegious water jurisdictions, rising in an act of blasphemy as fact, under such constitutional contrivance, navigated as maritime law under Article 3, Section 2 of this Constitution, is an act of defiance of God's will in support of such political bearings, is an act of a villain encompassing this land and water with such constitutional tacits, is a tyrant, is the act of a tyrant dressed in an act of constitutional benevolence, hoping to double down on its constitutional act of deception in this land. There shall be no such blessings bestowed upon which constitutionally deceives, as based on the 14th Amendment, as backlit in the Declaration. Such an act is a chargeable high seas crime, and I stand in opposition to such 14th Amendment unwarranted water jurisdictional contrivances, and thank you for letting me
Thank you,
share
Mr. Geddes.
again.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments this morning? IT, are there any remote access comments this morning?
If anyone online would like to speak on these items, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Jacobs, have we received any emails? Okay, public comments are closed. Before we move to the consent agenda, I wish to thank the city staff for being here this morning. I know the City Hall is closed to the public and allowing our city staff to accommodate whatever needs to be done in preparation for this storm. So thank you for being here. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Attorney's fees, item number 1, attorney's fees, Johnson Jackson. Item number 2, authorize execution of letter of acknowledgement for City of Tarpon Springs Housing Authority repositioning plan. Item 3, award file, single source purchase of automotive Aquatech and Boucher Municipal Original Equipment. Item 4, award file number 220181-N-JL, single source purchase for Cops and Kids van. Item number 5, award number 220174-B-AS, decorative light poles. Does any of the commissioners wish to pull any of the items? I see none. Is there any public comments concerning any of these items? IT, are there any remote access comments concerning these?
online would like to speak on this items, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time.
Ms. Jacobs, any emails? Okay. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, let's move on to special consent agenda. Item 6, renew property and casualty workers' compensation insurances. Mr. LaCourse.
Yes, and this is one of the main reasons why we're having a meeting this morning, so come forward. Timeliness, I will note, because it's a state of emergency, there are several things we could have postponed, the obligation of 2 meetings in a month per the charter, and I'm sure we could have got some special dispensation on number 6. That's why I'm glad that 3 of you, I at least needed 3 of you today to do this. Again, I'll talk in 9 why we didn't have to have this meeting today, but this helps us, especially with this, the main item I wanted to get out because we don't know when we can meet again. So the quick rundown and the good news on it. So our people are insured October 1. We are insured October 1.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor and Board of Commissioners. I'm here to recommend that the BOC approve the renewal of our property, casualty, and workers' comp insurances with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust for a 1-year term starting October 1. This year we went out, we had Garing Group actually issued an RFP for us, and they did some extensive comparisons. There were 2 really viable responses. However, given the conditions that we've been with the league for many, many years, that they were able to save us almost $181,000, or 13.2% decrease over last year. There would be no disruption of having to move to a company in order to save $20,000. So there's an attached sheet which you've had a chance to look at. I'm here if you have any questions or any comments.
All right. Let me ask the public whether they have any questions first. Are there any public comments on this item? AT, are there any remote access comments?
If anyone online would like to speak on these items, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Okay. Commissioner comments, Vice Mayor Lunt,
I have no comments at this time.
Commissioner Eisner.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. When you budgeted for the year, was it budgeted with the savings or without the savings?
I believe it was budgeted originally without these savings.
That's a very big plus. Thank you.
Yes.
No further questions on that.
Commissioner Kulyas.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at the mod rating, and I just wanted to see, because I'm not sure relating to city employees, but does our mod rating usually sit a little bit over 1.0?
As you can see from last year, it was 1.07. This year, it has gone up to 1.10. We do have an active safety program, but in certain years, and also when they get settlements from prior years, they are accredited to the current year. So yes, we do hover. In good years, we've actually been a little less, but this, I guess this year was a case where we had a few incidents. It does fluctuate.
Thank you. Now, accidents do happen, so I just wanted to look at that and make sure we're, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say it's continued good news, whether it's this insurance or healthcare insurance. So I really appreciate whatever we do as far as stopgap measures to reduce claims. I know that's always a challenge, but I appreciate everyone's effort. I know it's yours, but also many of the department heads and their assistants as far as ensuring their employees understand the importance of safety. Let's have a motion and a second on this.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Item 7, approve FDEP standard grant agreement amendment for funding Elfers Spur trail extension. Mr. LaCourse.
Yes, this is another time-sensitive item that we're glad to get out of the way today. So Bob, the quick rundown of this.
Yeah, very
Many
fast.
years waiting to get done item.
Sorry, Senior Manager. Bob Robertson, Project Administration Department Director. For this one, we're asking the board to approve a grant agreement with DEP between the state and the city for a federal grant of up to $327,979. This is for the construction of the Elfers Spur Trail. This is the piece of the trail that will connect the Pinellas Trail to the Pasco Coastal Anclote Trail. We have $599,000 in the city budget for the project for construction. So this 327 is on top of that. Project is completing design now based on some changes DOT required of us. And we'll be, as soon as the grant agreement is clear, we should be able to put this out to bid probably by, I was gonna say the end of the year, but some things are changing right now thanks to the storm, but maybe the beginning of the year. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this item? IT, are there any remote access public comments?
If anyone online would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in to talk. And we do not have any raised hands this time, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Jacobs, anything? All right. Commission comments, Vice Mayor Lund,
It's a pretty standard agreement. I have no comments at this time.
Commissioner Eisner.
I just had a quick question. When it's a match, do we go equal, or is it, why is it that we're putting in more of the money?
Well, it often works that what I try to do is set these up so that our match is in the form of the design fees. So we pay the design, we manage the design, so we're not inhibited. We can keep the design process going while we wait for construction funding. In this case, you know, we were actually less than 50%, but this was also a grant that we applied for more than a year and a half ago, and a lot of things have changed in a year and a half. The Eagle moved, so we had to change the design a little bit. DOT asked us to do a different design on the crossing of US 19. They want us to use a pedestrian light instead of the rapid flashing beacons. So the costs have gone up a bit. So typically we try to go 50% or less if we can help, if we can.
Do we own this?
It's the city's trail, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we own the property, yep.
Commissioner Kulyas.
No questions.
Mr. Robertson, just kind of going into the detail a little bit, what we're talking about is from the trestle all the way to where it connects to the Pasco Nature Trail along Anclote Boulevard. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I understand that's going to be our trail, but is it going to be maintained by the county, or is it going to be maintained by us?
We will maintain it.
We're going to maintain it.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
we're also responsible for constructing it as well?
Yes.
Is there, I know we've got the funds now, but it's, as far as putting an RFP and going out to bid on this thing, do you have a timetable for that?
Yeah, you know, I have to finish up the design pieces. We also have to do a NEPA document for this because the funds are federal. So I'm hoping we can put it out to bid in, you know, I was hoping for the end of this year. It's most likely going to be in the spring.
Towards the end of this year? Well, obviously, we're getting to that point anyway.
Yeah,
so,
it's most
okay.
likely going to be early.
In the next
next year.
couple of months, I guess would be a better way. All right, I know Chairperson Starkey, Pasco County Commission, was asking me about this, and I would suspect you've got a Pasco County counterpart.
I do.
Yes? Okay, so I'm sure you'll make them aware of it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I have no other questions. May I have a motion and a second to approve, please?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, item 8, award file number 23009-C-AS Transport Rescue Unit through Pinellas County Emergency Medical Services Authority utilizing the Florida Sheriff's Association contract. Mr. LaCourse.
Yes, this is another one we're trying to get ahead of everybody on, so Scott, go ahead.
Good morning, Scott Young, Fire Chief. I bring for you the, my brain is low fried from things. The fire rescue unit. We've talked to you all about this in the past, about trying to put a rescue unit, ambulance-type unit at the station to offset some of the demand on the fire engine. It can have the capabilities of transporting patients if the need arises. The county noticed during the COVID times that the overwhelming number of patients being transported was beyond what the Sunstar ambulance service could do. So they would ask us to do some transport. So this is a 24-month build on this. We are waiting for the county to finalize their budget, which they did on the 22nd, that would offset our costs of $250,000. So the county will be picking up that amount. The city's amount is about $41,000 when it arrives. I do anticipate that by the time it gets here, the county may fund more of that because of the cost of the vehicles, so they go by that. So maybe our number could come down. And we're hoping by that point of delivery, we'll have the staff the unit full-time based on our call volume possibly, and or SAFER grants or the city funding the people. So within 2 years, hopefully we'll have that resolved. So I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay. IT, are there any remote access comments on this item?
If anyone online would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed in to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Jacobs, any emails? Okay. Commission comments, Vice Mayor Lunt.
Chief Scott, what happens, or Chief Young, I'm sorry, what happens if we don't get funding for the personnel of this vehicle? What happens if 2 years are down the road, they deliver it, and the county hasn't funded us another 3 people, and we just don't have it in our budget to
Well,
that?
we would run it. Right now, if I'm fully staffed, that means nobody's on vacation, I don't have any sick time, FMLAs, et cetera. I have staff, I can put people on it and run it. Currently today, we use a Suburban that we have transferred to do patient care. I'll put that in service today if I have staff. Doesn't happen a lot because of vacations and sick times, et cetera. Hopefully by that point, we'll be able to figure out a plan to fund it either by the county or through the city. And we're waiting right now. I don't know if we haven't heard anything yet. Usually we hear by now. We do have a SAFER grant that we're waiting to hear on, which would help fund 3 people. But I'm not too optimistic on that right now because we haven't heard, and they've already started awarding. They do so many a week, and we just haven't had any notification yet. So I don't know how that's going to be. But we will apply for that again next year if we don't get it this year.
Is our current call volume, isn't it up over the level for that?
It's hovering. It has dropped a little bit, but the ambulance service themselves are setting records for transport. So the numbers are up. So we're hoping that it continues and we'll hit that mark next year.
And the one thing, I don't think the county would give us all that money for the unit if they didn't think they were going to be giving us the people to fund it, because really we're out at most 41,000 maybe left. They're out about 300,000 that unit that we'll have here. So if worse comes to worse.
I think they're anticipating things to change by the 2-year mark. They did this for East Lake Fire, which is way below the number. They're probably 7 calls average. We're up hovering the 9-10 number. So they paid for one for them. They also, Dunedin hit the mark for their number, so they just got one too. So I agree with the city manager. I don't believe that they're going to sit there and put this money out if they didn't anticipate some type of funding of some sort. So we'll see.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eisner.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate all you're going to do in the next couple of days. I want to thank you and your staff. Some of the questions I had for you were already answered. So I just hope and pray that we do get some money, because I don't want to be responsible to pay the whole thing. But thank you again in advance.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kulyas.
No questions.
Chief, y'all do a great job. You manage the department fine. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay, then we're going to go to item 9, and Mr. Moore, would you read Resolution 2022-40, ratifying state of local emergency? I believe we read this in its entirety. Is that correct? Or is it?
Can't hurt, Mayor.
Go ahead and read it in entirety, please.
Happily, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2022-40, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, ratifying Executive Order 2022-01 and providing for an effective date hereof. Whereas Hurricane Ian poses a serious potential threat to the residents of the City of Tarpon Springs, and whereas on September 23rd, 2022, Governor DeSantis declared a state of emergency throughout the state due to Hurricane Ian, and whereas City Manager Mark Licouris declared a local state of emergency on September 24th, 2022 due to Hurricane Ian, and whereas City Manager Mark Licouris issued Executive Order 2022-01 declaring a local state of emergency. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Tarpon Springs, Florida, duly assembled, that one, the Board of Commissioners hereby ratifies Executive Order 2022-01 declaring a state of local emergency effective September 24, 2022, and that this Section 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. This has been a full reading of Resolution 2022-40.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Let's go to public comments. Are there any public comments concerning this item? See emergency order. IT, are there any remote access comments concerning the emergency
If
order?
anyone online would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand and you'll be allowed to talk. And we do not have any raised hands at this time, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Jacobs, any emails? Okay. Let's go to commission comments. If any of you need to, if you've got any questions as far as what this does, or obviously maybe the city manager, this is the first time through for several of the commissioners,
Yes.
and maybe let you explain how
Okay.
this emergency order and your authority works in these circumstances. So go ahead and do that.
Yes, being new on, I know we've got some new board members in it, and it's a little different. This is an item we only have to do today because we had a meeting. This has to be done at the next regular meeting. If there was not a meeting for 2 weeks or so, it'd be good. What the commission did in its wisdom, and was due to a case of an emergency, and again, the efforts to try to get 3 commissioners together, it gave the commission, gave the authority to the city manager to declare a state of emergency. I had it with me on Saturday. What I wait for is for the county to declare their state of emergency. Once Pinellas County, which they did at about 4 o'clock on Saturday, I had it with me. I went to Irene's house and we executed it, so it'd be in effect Saturday. Again, these things do have a power that they have a little leeway of time to do, but for maximum reimbursement and stuff, we like to have it signed right after the county has it signed. And the board doesn't have to ratify it until the next meeting, whenever that is. It could be a month if it's a bad emergency that hits and it's a month. And the state of emergency, in essence, the entire powers under state of emergency go to emergency management. The commission's role in this is to be safe somewhere and be able to come back together whenever we can get back together. We have all the authority to make decisions, make purchases, make anything. We bring them to you after the fact to ratify under these things. So in essence, it gives, your 3, your police chief, fire chief, and myself, who've got over 100 years of emergency management experience, we're able to make all the decisions and then bring them to you at the end and conduct business under our emergency circumstances here. That's why if you see on my memo, I was looking for 3 today for this. And again, we wanted to knock out those items real fast. But again, we did not have to have this on, but because we had a meeting, it's required this to be brought to the next meeting and stuff. Scott, I know you want to add something anything for the commissioners, have them understand the hunker down, be safe, and
The one thing on the declaration also, and so you all don't get confused, is this has to be renewed every week, if I remember. So Mark will have to sign a new one every week, because that's just the way it works. So at board meetings coming up, you may see 2, 3, or 4 of these that have to be ratified. So I didn't want you to get confused, like, why are we ratifying this when we just did this? So just so you're aware of that.
So you'll be signing the next one Saturday then?
Saturday I'll be signing the next one to extend it, which we'll probably be doing and stuff. Again, remember, the biggest thing that we've had before is people trying to use elected officials to get the kind of the front of the line of calls. Please, anybody who calls you, tell them to funnel their calls through the emergency services number. We'll have those out to you and stuff. A lot of time of you trying to get a hold of myself, Scott, when we're in the middle of something. In fact, they probably get put in line and in the queue later than usual of calling the number, because by the time we get it, whatever we're doing, then get to the queue to put it in the queue, it actually does not save them time doing it. So they really need to take everything through the emergency center lines. Everything's queued, everything's put in. If the process, and it really, it delays if it's done otherwise. If they try to go to you, you go to one of us, and then whatever we're doing, get to the queue. So encourage the people. That's what they need to do, because you're going to be hunkering down, and we're going to be in the emergency operations center. So refer them to us. Hopefully, as long as we have lines, you'll be able to, communication, you'll be able to get in touch with us. We'll keep updating you as long as we can. We'll give you updates, and pretty much, we just hope for the best. We're ready. We've always prepared for the worst. Irma, we were ready for the worst. We've got everybody mobilized, ready, planned. The city is in as good hands and a crew that's ready to go. As bad as things hopefully not happen, but we're ready to get out there and going. So we're mobilized and ready, and we remain ready because of past scares when we thought we were going to have to be. So we always go for worst case scenario. So we're going to be tackling whatever comes to us the very best we can for the citizens.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Lunt, do you have any comments?
I pretty much understand the emergency order. I just want to voice my concern for the citizens. For those of you that have not finished preparations, please finish it as soon as you can. For those of you that are considering staying through the storm and you're in an evacuation area, I urge you to leave. This is an unusually large storm that is headed directly for our area. I know there's still some wobble left. It looks like it's going into the Tampa Bay right now. It could very easily come north. So please take care of yourself, be safe, and do whatever you can to protect yourself. Thank you.
Commissioner Eisen.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to second what the Vice Mayor said. Unless you're up high, this is going to be a very serious storm. I've been through a number of them. The storm surge is a very serious thing. You cannot swim in it. So if you're planning on staying, please make sure that you have all your batteries, your radio, whatever you're going to have to stay safe, or please evacuate. Try to freeze gallon ice bags so that you can have, if your refrigerator goes out, you have a way to have drinking water and you can keep your food safe for a couple extra days. And I wish you all the blessings, and we're in good hands. I want to thank Mark for all you've done. I want to thank both chiefs for what you're about to go into. If you need me, I am happy to help any way I can. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Kulyas.
Yeah, it just feels like a week ago we weren't even concerned about a hurricane, so I just want to echo what Vice Mayor and Commissioner Eisner said. We're a strong, tight-knit community. Let's have faith, and we're going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Police Chief Young, I don't want to cut you out on this. Do you have anything?
I can just echo the same remarks that everybody's up here. I truly want to encourage everybody, if you're in an evacuation zone, A, B, or C, manufactured homes, heed the warnings now and evacuate those areas. You don't have to go hundreds of miles, just tens of miles. Get inland more and make your family safe. Property can be repaired later. I just want to encourage that, because waiting till the storm's here, it's too late. We may not be able to get the resources out to you until the storm passes, and even then might be treacherous. Also, after this storm passes, please don't leave your houses to try to look in flooded areas. A lot of hidden dangers out there. Down power lines, tree lines. These are things that the Emergency Management Center and Operations Center for us are going to coordinate throughout the county, and we'll let you all know when it's safe to come out of the residents that are able to go in. But just give us a chance to get through there and safeguard the city and make sure it's safe for everybody.
Thank you. I just have a couple of things, just for questions to provide a little information. If you run out of your telephone or way of communicate, the city manager will be at the, and you need to get in touch with the city manager, he'll be at the Emergency Operating Center, which will be at the Public Safety Building. You can reach him there, knock on the glass or go into the building, whatever, and in case you need him. City Hall is currently closed to the public. We do have some services going on, and then I guess tomorrow it'll be completely shut down. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then Thursday as well, and then is it just maybe not on Friday?
Just depends on
Okay.
how bad the damage is and what happens here.
All righty. Okay, so basically, the resident should plan on today, Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even Friday, that having access to whatever is needed here at City Hall.
Most of the places are going through Friday. We want to hold Friday open in case, there's an ability. But again, you'll know by what happens, good common sense when you see what happens from the storm, if there's any possibility of opening Friday or not. And we'll get that out as soon as possible. We'll probably plan on through Friday, but if we can, if we're lucky enough to not get the serious effects, then, we're going to try to at least open partially on Friday.
Okay. And then as far as the recovery, is there any timetable as far as when to, it'll be playing by ear as far as to begin the recovery?
Yeah, you want to just go real fast a little bit on that?
That's all dependent on what happens. The first process after the storm, and it's safe to go back out, we have push teams. It's Public Works, Police, Fire. We go out to make sure the main passage roads, which we have designated in our system, we make sure that they're accessible. Then we have to go out, we have to do damage assessment throughout the system and log all that through. So there's a process, and the timeline is hard to tell you because we don't know what's going to happen yet. So if it's minor, like Irma, it's within hours. If it's big, like they're talking, it could take a day or two, depending on the extent.
And then there'll be some kind of a public notice.
We would try to get something out if we're able. You got to remember, if the power goes out, internets go out, phone systems could go out, cell towers, et cetera. So we'll do what we can. If we have to drive around and do blow horns and tell people, we'll do what we can to get the information out the best we can.
Right, and then the closest emergency shelter for us is Carlisle, is that correct?
Yes, again, it's Carwise Elementary School down off of Alderman, Palm Harbor University, and then also Palm Harbor Middle down off of Belcher.
And Chief, once the recovery begins and people return to their homes and they find it uninhabitable, I think that there's a recovery shelter, or are they the same that we're talking about?
We don't really have a recovery shelter in Tarpon. We will try to do what we can at that point to get people in places. We would talk to some of the churches to see what they have available. The public shelters will be open, but they usually try to get those people back as soon as they can. Again, that all depends on the damage and people be able to get out and get back home. So that's just kind of a wait and see.
Okay.
So,
but typically,
they can call us if they can get to us, and we'll try to coordinate and make sure they're safe.
maybe churches and things, a little more of an informal basis.
Yeah, we'll be reaching out to everybody. So.
Okay, that to me is always important. If people are leaving and they come back and their houses, they can't stay there, there's no power, air conditioning, what do they do?
And
their
there's
neighbors
also
in
the
same boat.
possibility, I think Chief Young can talk to this, if it's really bad, if the county really gets bad, the sheriff's department and the police department will restrict access into the county. So you might not get back for a while
That
until they
declaration
deem
will
it
come
safe.
from the sheriff, and he'll close off the county, depending on the disaster amount, and we'll work with them on access in and out. Only essential personnel would be allowed back in at that time. But that's, something that would come after the disaster.
And city manager and I were talking, is there a planned lockdown as far as the evacuation goes right now, prior to the storm?
There's nothing locked down right now. Right now, it's a mandatory evacuation for zones A, B, and C, and manufactured homes. So the resources are not going to be able to get to you during a storm. If you stay in those areas, you're pretty much on your own there while this storm's coming through. And then afterwards, you could be isolated there for who knows how long before we can get to you.
And we would still, what I was talking about, preventing people from up north coming south, but as I imagine, many people are going down to the Miami area, so.
Yeah, those things, you know, are going to be, you know, once the storm passes, and then you can make those determinations and see if the safety can be in place to allow people back into the areas. And that's not going to just be Pinellas County, Pasco, Hillsborough, Sarasota. Every affected area is going to be the
In
same.
fact, Hillsborough usually pulls the gun first.
Yeah, yeah.
They're usually the fastest. When you see Hillsborough
especially with the
start.
bridges, I think to the city manager's point, you'll see the bridges and stuff being shut down very early.
I think they've already actually started restricting access this morning to the barrier
For the
islands.
barrier islands, they always
islands,
do
yeah.
that beginning.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. We need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kulyas?
Yes.
Commissioner Eisner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lunt?
Yes.
Mayor Vaticius?
Yes. Okay. Let's go to board and staff comments. I'm going to, Fire Chief has already probably said all he needs to say, and he was up there. Police Chief Young, anything?
Just again, everybody stay safe, saying prayers for everybody.
Okay, thank you. City Manager
I don't
LaCourse.
have anything further.
City Clerk Jacobs.
Just stay safe.
Okay. Vice Mayor Lunt.
I echo the sentiments of everybody. Stay safe, keep yourself protected, don't do anything crazy.
Okay. Commissioner Eisner.
Stay safe, think before you act.
Okay. Commissioner Kulyas.
Stay safe, Tarpon Springs. Thank you.
Okay. I want to just step out ahead of all of this a little bit. Notwithstanding what we're going to go through in the next couple of days, we've deferred a number of items from the meeting we're going to have this evening to the next meeting. Not defer, but basically we'll pick them up on the next meeting. I know you were giving some thought as far as whether it would be next Tuesday, or you're still working on trying to identify.
I just wanted, next Tuesday may be open for some items to talk about. Most of the items that you don't see on the agenda that was city generated can go to the 11th. The car wash, the final, all those are being deferred, which I don't see this on here, so we may need to do that.
Which one? The car
Announce,
wash?
yeah, we may need to, the only one that's an advertisement we need to announce is item 60 on the old agenda, the application for US 19 North, Northwest Corner Highway 19 is on the agenda, we announced it, but to make the formal announcement here that item is definitely, because that one we have to do to a date certain, so that one is deferred to the deferral till the 11th, which is the first regularly scheduled meeting in.
Okay.
So we can officially make that announcement.
This would be the car wash. is what
Right,
you
the
call it.
6 the
Mr. Moore, just to be on the safe side, we don't need to vote on that, just make an announcement.
To announce a car wash? Is that what she's?
The
the
ordinances and
date
things that
certain
were.
for the new date.
No, you don't need to announce a new date presently. First and foremost, in as much as your rules dictate anything, Rule 7 says a majority of the body can waive the rules. But at this stage, especially given the level of uncertainty presently, I don't think you need to renotice anything at this time. We can reevaluate item by item as necessary in the wake of the storm.
Okay, so I think what Mr. Moore is saying, if I understood correctly, we can leave this one open, or just,
It would just not,
let's go say, unless the circumstances change, we're going to defer this item to the meeting of October 11th.
Yes.
That is, was item 16 from what was going to be tonight's meeting, and its application 22-170 and 22-68. That involves 38652 US Highway 19 North, northeast corner of Highway 19 North and East Classroom Road, for the new car wash and the existing billboard sign. Those would be second reading, so we're deferring those to.
We will re-advertise. It's just a function of we don't have to announce it in this moment as we don't know what
Okay.
timeline.
All righty.
And again, the item that I talked about possibly Tuesday, which is not a concern, I know I talked to the mayor about it, the item about the city attorney.
Yeah.
We do have our labor attorney already set, which we were going to be bringing to you, and is already ready for the 11th meeting. So we do have a contract with a labor attorney who can cover limited. We're talking about that in that item, but if something happens and we can't have the meeting, we don't need to have a meeting next week or something, we're covered on that. That was the only item, that was one of the items, generated by us that I thought we may need, but because of her, carrying us in the overage, we might not have the necessity of that Tuesday meeting, but I just wanted to hold it open, as a possibility in case, but we will be covered by our labor attorney until we get to the 11th, which is only 2 days out, from when the contract expires. So we've got three good proposals for temporary use. I'm going to recommend when it comes to a board item that we try to negotiate and utilize all three of them in the interim, for our needs. So, but, we can take care of that at the next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, just for clarification, we have a labor attorney, Johnson & Jackson, PLLC, and Mr. LaCourse had checked with them after Trask Dagnall announced the ending of the agreement effective October 9th, and they were willing to step in and provide services to the city commission meetings. But then there's a question concerning the other boards as well, which I think is what you're talking about. They may not be able to do the other boards, but Mr. LaCourse has made some provisions with some of these other firms that may be a
With
possibility.
some good work of Janina Lewis in procurement, getting this together fast. She's in the audience with a lot of good work. That worry has subsided, and we've got some abilities to enter into several contracts and have coverage until you hear the process and the process of moving forward. Okay. So we're in good shape.
Thank you. I wish everybody well and stay safe, and I hope you see everybody at the other side. Meeting adjourned at 9:47.